You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community and forum, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from fresh farm ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind.
Well, good morning and hello, kids, and welcome to Season 3 and episode number 103 of the Daily Beaver here on the Crier Media Network. Today, recording day is Thursday, April 20th, 2023, and it will be a mainly sunny day here at the Beaver Lodge with temperatures reaching 11 degrees Celsius. And kids, if you are wondering about my attire, yes, it is tennis season, and it did officially get started for me yesterday. Finally got to play a game. I did not win, but for my first match of the season, my game was really together, and my serve was very, very impressively consistent. So there you go. Good things coming up. Maybe that's a good sign. I won my first point of the season and won my first game of the season. And my first game of the season, I broke serve. And then it kind of went downhill, but still. Ah, man. Of course. A big thank you goes to our podcast founding sponsors, the Peppermaster, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and CanadianTarot.com. And of course, kids, as always with me is my constant companion, my dear friend, my brother from another mother, Mr. Grizzly. Good morning, Mr. Grizzly. How's your mental health today?
Good morning, Mr. Beaver. I think it's okay. I slept according to my sleep monitoring system that I have. I slept for 7 hours. No, 6 hours and 58 minutes. 7 hours. I slept for 7 hours. So I should feel well rested, right? No, I don't.
Jeez.
I'm not. I feel like I slept not at all. But on the positive side of things, it's a sun. Look at that sunrise coming up. We'll
That's
take that
gorgeous.
every single time. Oh yeah, we'll take that every single time.
Oh, that hits the happy spot.
Yeah. No worries.
All right, Mr. Grizzly, I think you have a few things.
Yes, I do.
That's a big number. Right?
So you do know that
pick a sentence.
You do know that we've got a strike going on as of this moment in time, right? Well, apparently the dozen or so freedom convoy people that like to sit on the hill every day and scream freedom all day long and wave inverted Canadian flags did not take too kindly to that.
Oh,
So
they had a
let's just
problem with
have a
other
look at
people using
this.
their freedom of expression?
Yeah, Suzu Van Helberta. Suzu Van Hel. The freedom, in quotation marks, convoyers have been saying for weeks. We need to be like France. Now there's actually a nationwide strike and they're yelling, no, no, not like that. Convoy, update from the Hill. PSAC had a big crowd on the Hill. Convites were jealous and had a meltdown via phones. That PSAC is fighting for wages and working instead of, in quotation marks, freedom. Also complained about the Union flags being flown. Nobody was paying attention to them. Well. Let's look at
Okay,
some
so let's see.
commentary, shall we? I got some
Pardon?
commentary here. Hang on. Some
Okay.
commentary here. Check this. Report from the Hill. There are about 2,000 PSAC members and supporters on the Hill at lunchtime, plus hundreds more at nearby picket locations. There were 3 chuds, Mathieu Venn, Johnny Rowe, and Francine Corsi at the gates to the Hill. Matt and Francine had megaphones and were having an embarrassing meltdown because they were jealous that PSAC was able to get a bigger crowd than anything they've done over the past year. They were on the other side of the fence shouting through the megaphones at the striking workers assembled on the Hill, complaining that PSAC was fighting for wages and working conditions rather than freedom. Doesn't better wages and better working conditions kind of equal a certain amount of freedom?
Yeah. Wow. Okay, so
Francine was also complaining that PSAC and the other unions were flying Union flags instead of Canada flags. She has done this before at the Labor Day parade last year. She was screaming at union members as they marched by because the unions had Union flags instead of Canada flags. Nobody cared and everyone was ignoring the losers. They aren't making any friends today. Why would you yell at union people marching on Labor Day waving Union flags? That's the entire reason for Labor Day.
that was at Labor Day they did that?
Yeah, they did that at Labor Day. Yeah, well, yeah, it says right here. Just, she has done this before the Labor Day parade last year. She was screaming at union members as they marched by because they had Union flags instead of Canada flags. It's like,
Okay, so
could you write something this absurd?
so wait a minute. They're for freedom, but they're not
Yes.
for fighting for getting paid. They're for freedom, but they're not actually for getting paid unless it comes in little envelopes that Tamara Lynch is distributing on the site. They have a more problem with a Union flag than a fuck Trudeau flag or a swastika or a Confederate flag. They're freedom, but they're anti-union. They're
Yeah,
and all they did with
union
their
buys you
megaphones
freedom.
is just add to the noise and make it seem like they were there protesting along with the PSAC people.
Yeah.
All they did is make it look like they were protesting along with them and made more noise.
Yeah.
So thanks for the help.
Yeah.
It's not like they're going to pick you out of a crowd, right? When they're counting the number of people and this is how loud it was. Oh, except for those 3, you got to deduct 3. There's nobody there with a board and a pen going, oh yeah, oh no, we have to deduct 2% there.
So today at the protest we had 2003. Oh no. Subtract 3. We had 2,000 at the protests and 3 chuds. I couldn't write this. I couldn't write something as stupid as this.
Freedom.
I did. Oh, and that's all I hear. Dude, I hear it all the time. And I, you know what? I don't even get upset about it anymore now. I just completely ignore them.
It's like they forget
Completely
2
ignore
syllables
them.
though in there.
Yeah.
I think there's there's some apostrophe contractions. I think it's like free apostrophe dumb, and the apostrophe. The first one is 2 and the second one is B.
Free to be dumb.
Free to be dumb. Actually, you could put a good beat to that. Free to be dumb. Free to be dumb. Free to be dumb, be dumb, be dumb, be dumb, be dumb.
Hip,
dumb,
hop,
dumb.
hipping and a hop.
Jeez, man.
Well, it's just mind blowing. Like they're chuds. They're chuds because standing around groaning and moaning and bellowing freedom all day long, when they're doing this on our dime, right? Because they don't draw a salary or an income. They're living off of tax dollars or grift dollars, one or the other.
Yep.
And they have the freedom to do what they're doing, but they say we need more. How much? Oh, you know what they want? They want freedom from consequences. They want freedom from taxes. They want free. Oh, but wait a second. How are you able to be there?
Oh, yeah. You know what the other thing has got them upset, right?
What's that?
The concept of strike pay.
Oh, yeah.
The difference between a protest is that you don't line up and sign in to get your check. Again.
Didn't you all line up for your checks?
Also, I do believe the PSAC members have a little deduction that comes off their check.
Yes.
Every time called union dues. So they worked, and then they took their own money, and then they put it in a little pot called union dues. And that little pot builds up a strike fund. So if you actually show up to strike, don't just stay at home, but actually show up to strike and walk the picket line for 4 hours, you get your daily strike pay. Now, the convoyers just hopped in their vehicles, drove all across the country, completely unimpeded, had people cheering them up along the way who were also completely unimpeded, came here, were allowed to take the city and about 100,000 of their fellow citizens hostage for nearly 4 weeks, pretty much without being impeded as well, until the end, when people said, okay, enough of this. We've indulged you enough. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
It's time to go home now. Right? Or, hey, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Closing time. Right? It's just, we have a situation of, I say it all the time, sometimes juxtaposition is the only argument you need. This is how grown-ups protest, what you're seeing right now, and then there's what you did.
Yeah. It's a level of absurdity.
You showed up and you thought you'd get a cut of the 20 million. Well, 10 at first when you showed up.
10, yeah.
And
there's missing money too. And remember during that whole occupation when Tamara Lich disappeared for a couple of days? I'm not saying anything. I'm just asking questions.
Oh, please ask some questions.
Where'd that missing money go, Tamara? When you were missing for a few days? Just asking questions. That's all.
Just asking questions.
Just asking questions. That's all they do. They ask questions all the time.
Yes. But remember, when you just ask questions, you need to bat your eyelashes innocently and have that blank look on your face like you don't know that 2 and 2 equal 4. Because that's very confusing to you and you need it explained.
Well, it's they try and act like Miss South Carolina in the Miss Teen USA pageant from a number of years ago. I believe that U.S. Americans, such as, and oh boy, I remember watching that. Like, I didn't watch it live. I just saw it on YouTube like the next day or something, and I thought, oh, I really feel for that young girl.
I know she must have been dying at that moment. Inside that, like, just nothing came to mind, and she's just, oh my God, I need to spin. I could just
and Mario Lopez standing beside her, he was like, okay, thank you. It like, she will never, ever live that down.
But you know what? She should have gotten a prize for keeping it together. Turn around. Because in that moment, like that, she's like sitting there, it's like, shit, I just lost this thing. And then she turns around, smiles and turns around, and she goes and stands back and, and it's sort of like, oh God,
but
I just
that should have been
burned. I mean, you're aware.
That should have been the straw that broke the camel's back when it came to beauty pageants. Like, they should have, you know what? I think we should stop doing this. But somebody's going to make money somewhere off the exploitation of young girls, so they'll just keep doing it. Because they like to say how it's a scholarship program. It's the biggest scholarship program. Actually, almost no money goes into scholarships, and it's been proven time and time again.
Oh.
Yeah.
I did not know
Same with the Miss the Miss USA or Miss America pageant. I don't know what they call it now. It's the largest scholarship. Almost $0 goes into it.
Dang.
So yeah, just put an end to it. And I don't look. It's not an athletic competition where you are challenging how a sport that you've trained for, downhill skiing, moguls, figure skating. But figure skating is subjective for judges, which I don't. Where racing is, you either beat the clock or you don't,
Yeah.
right? Uh, I love figure skating, and some people may be surprised to hear that. I've loved it my whole life. Both my sisters were figure skaters. My mother was president of the local chapter of Canadian Figure Skating Association. So it was something that I grew up with, and I've been a fan. I like ice dance. I like all of it. I do. And I appreciate the ridiculous athletic ability it takes to look graceful while spinning in the air 3 times.
It was the
and
first
landing.
of the extreme sports, along with ski jumping, before there were.
Yes.
People don't
absolutely
think figure skating is an extreme sport, but ice is hard, and you're pulling a lot of G's when you're doing a quad.
Look graceful while landing on a tiny little thin piece of metal that's sharp enough to sever your carotid.
Yes, we've seen it happen. We've seen it happen in pair skating when they spin and two people get too close to each other. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So
blades are sharp and ice is hard and slippery.
Yeah. So, it's like I said, it's I hate the judging aspect of it. I wish it could be done for literally scored by a computer. We have AI technology that the computers could track and score. So no, you wouldn't have judges. It would just be a computerized.
They're getting closer to that now, since they had that big thing. Now every single element has a base value, and then you can add or subtract depending on quality. And they have technical judges that actually look back and see, was the judge fully landed first to give so they're actually judging what happens on the ice. Now there's always the artistic component again, but even that one has specific. But yes, there's always going to be some subjectivity. But they're trying to get us close. That in gymnastics, they both have that point system, and everything's down to the hundredths of a point now.
Well, it was after the whole, and this is weird today, but not at the time. The Jamie Saleh thing, right?
Okay, yeah, the love story thing with the Russians.
Yeah. Vote buying and the whole bit. So I'd like to dispense with actual judges when it comes to that, and just use AI technology to determine. It can review in real time. Did it land it correctly? All you have to do is just teach the AI what the move is supposed to look like, and it can do the rest.
It's changed a lot in tennis, I can tell you that.
Yeah. Well, with the line judges and eagle eyes and all that. Yeah.
Because they don't rely on it 100% of the time. They do a thing where they still try to keep the human element by allowing the line judge to make the call, and then the players to challenge it. And they have a certain number of challenges. But even I would just get away with that. Just judge what was done.
Yeah.
So have the but it's also because you have the line. It's again the machines replacing stuff, right? When you have tennis, it's you still need the ball kids to go and get the ball. But for example, I took a level 1 officiating course with Tennis Canada, so I can line call. So there's a lot of people not getting that opportunities at the higher level. Of course, at the lower level, you still need all these people because the Hawkeye systems are at the clubs, right? So you still need them, but it's you do all that volunteering, then you used to have a chance to go to the big stage. But now there's no more big stage because they got the.
Well, you factor in as the official that what if you're having a bad day? Your kid's sick. What if you're having a bad day? You have OCD and ADHD, so you're super concentrated on that line. Then all of a sudden, squirrel. I'm being hyperbolic here, but you get my point. Take the human element out of it, and I think we're starting to see that with more and more sports, like the goal line replay technology they have in European football or soccer. It does make a difference. Anyway, I'm way off topic here, but I'd like to see an end to beauty pageants, because can we stop judging women based on their looks? Well, there's the talent competition. Oh, really?
Well, there's
most
also,
of them try and sing and they can't.
That 1 minute pop question. 30-second
that 1
question where you get to
the
really
bathing suit competition. We're trying to be less sexist, so the ladies can choose to have a bikini or a one piece. Oh yes, that's totally not sexist.
It's to show fitness.
Come on. Yeah. Well, at least women are able to compete in the Mr. and Mrs. Olympia
Yes.
for IFBB for bodybuilding,
Yep.
where that, okay, we're still judging the bodies, but that's different. This is something that they've sculpted and worked on. They've spent hundreds of thousands of hours in the gym, and that's a different competition.
Yep. Absolutely.
Right.
Right.
So anyway,
you mentioned hockey, you mentioned hockey, so I'm going to just touch on it briefly. Stanley Cup
Mhm.
playoffs are on because we didn't mention them before.
Yep.
Uh,
And Edmonton won last night.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, but after game one, however, right, it was a situation where Edmonton and the Leafs both lost, and of course, Creator be thanked for the Jets, eh? 5-1 against
Yeah, they
the Golden
won.
Knights. It's like the Jets are ranked 8, and so just sort of made it in. The Golden Knights are ranked first, and the Jets give them a 5-1 drubbing right on the first night. Hope the trend is your friend.
That's the thing about
Let's go, Winnipeg.
That's the thing about the playoffs, though.
Yep.
First place, eighth place. It means nothing. It's a new
Sunday
season.
time.
It's a new season. All you got to do is make it.
Yep.
How many times have we seen teams that finished really low just inched into the playoffs and made it to the final?
The Montreal Canadiens a few years ago, right?
They snuck into through the back door, got in, went to the finals.
Yep.
Now they didn't win, but they made it.
Yeah.
Which is more than the Leafs have done since 1967.
Falling leaves,
The
falling
Leafs-
leaves, falling leaves on the ground.
They haven't made the second round in 20 years. 20 years since they've made it out of the first round of the playoffs. So
I kind of predicted tongue in cheek because I'm not much of a big predictor like this, but that the Leafs would win in 6 just to spite Dean because he's like really gone out on the ledge saying they're not going to win this. I'm not hoping this time. Ha ha ha! You judge. There you go, 7-3. I told you it was going to happen. Just like okay, let's see. He's probably
I
right.
can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. And we were talking last night at Cigar and Scotch.
Poetic.
Scotch and Cigar Club last night. We were talking about it, and none of us are Leafs fans, right? We're all Sens fans. One fella kind of likes the Habs, but we're all Sens fans. And and it's like one fella says, "I don't hate the Leafs. I just hate their drunken idiot fans." And I'm like, I have a lot of friends that are Leafs fans that are good, solid hockey people, know the game, and will rib each other. But we're always the same as with my friends who are extreme right-wing conservative. Well, not extreme, but you know what I mean.
Yep.
Very much conservative. But we always rib each other, and that's fun. It's just the good back and forth. But there's whenever the Leafs play in Ottawa, there's always these drunken, obnoxious idiots. And those are the ones I want the Leafs to lose for.
Guys.
For those guys.
Oh, we have Kit Mill up here showing us some fists up emoji saying morning, day 2 on the line, and we're rocking it. Good stuff.
Hell yeah.
And we have some stuff to report there. Chris Elwood, the president, Elward. I keep on. It's pronounced. It's spelled Aylward, and it's pronounced Elward, like the TV show. So it's like when you're reading it, it's like you have to remember in your head because I always want to say Aylward. It's like no. He's on the record as being quoted saying, as we begin this historic strike, PSAC bargaining teams will remain at the table night and day as they have been for weeks. We're ready to reach a fair deal as soon as the government is ready to come to the table with a fair offer, which is a quote from the clip that we showed yesterday. But while he was on the lines, he added, our members have been delivering services to Canadians in a very quality way. The government is on record as saying we have a world-class public service. Well, if that's true, and if you believe that, and we believe that, then come to the bargaining table and show us that. Standing up in the House of Commons and making comments about the great work our federal public service is doing is no good for our members. Our members can't bring that to the bank. We need a fair and decent wage offer, no different than any other worker in the country. Everyone thinks federal public sector workers are making 6 figures. The majority of PSAC members make between $40,000 and $65,000 a year. They're not senior executive pay, and at $40,000 to $65,000 a year can hardly have another rollback hit, and that's what this government is proposing. Now, according to Elward, it seems that they've been trying to get the government to really come to the table for pretty much for 18 months, and it's only in the past few weeks that the government has seriously showed up to negotiate, which is a little weird. You'd think they'd be on it a little sooner. So yeah, again, I don't understand this in particular this time around because, like as I mentioned the last time with COVID and everything, the public servants made the federal government look good. We made them look good. Now, because the government still seems to be at the table and is not talking about back to work legislation, and there may be a reason for that that we'll get to, that's external to them. We're talking about people who take care of immigration, take care of passport applications, make sure that there aren't interruptions to supply chains at our international trade at our ports and at our, or at our borders. We're talking about, this is why I found like the convoy protesters, because we're talking about people that these convoy protesters should be able to identify with. Right?
Yeah.
Hardworking, working class Canadians who just happen to work for the federal government. Ooh, is that coffee in your cup?
Yeah, it was payday.
Is that the
So I
best part
bought
of waking
coffee.
up?
It is.
Right there?
Not Folgers,
No,
though.
no, no, no.
It's
Just
farm
coffee in
boy,
your cup.
but yeah.
Just coffee, not Folgers.
But I'll buy Folgers because when it's on sale for like 6 gallons worth for like 12 cents, yeah, I'm going to buy it because it's cheap. It's still coffee.
Yeah, but
I don't need to have a gourmet coffee every morning.
I heard it is
Yeah,
so great.
it's look.
I wouldn't know. I don't drink this stuff. Ugh.
I drink it black, so I will taste the difference. But I mean, really, look, any port in a storm, man.
Right.
Any port in a storm.
So he went on to say, we said from day one, wages were a priority in this round of bargaining. In the economic context that we're in, everyone in this country is feeling the pinch. Federal public servers, I'm having trouble saying that. Federal public sector workers making $40,000 to $65,000 a year are no different. Again, we're fed up. We're watching mega corporations make record profits that they haven't seen in years, and yet nobody wants to pay workers. That doesn't compute. Something has to give there. And as a result, that's what you're seeing today. Workers are fed up, they're frustrated, and they're on strike. And we here at the True North Eager Beaver fully support them.
Yeah.
Pay them. Pay them what they're worth, and be grateful that we do have a world-class public service. Pay them like they are a world-class public service. It's not hard. And so I will be writing a letter today specifically because it just so happens that the president of the Treasury Board, Mona Fortier, is my MP.
That's right.
Yeah. So I will be writing something and I will be sending it in saying that this is what I stand for. And maybe I'll write it open letter style so I can post it somewhere. And if everybody else wants to just pick it up and print it and then they can sign a name to it. But always, I mean, print it, sign the name and do all that. You can do that. That's fine. But if you actually take the time to handwrite it, from the written one, send it. That'll mean even more. So they pay attention to people who take. Plus, I think they believe. I think they might believe that if you take the time to handwrite, they might think you might be an older Canadian, and well,
yes,
they really do prize the older.
They
older
do.
Because
I mean, weirdly, society tends to throw them out, but the federal government pays attention because. The older generation, most of them, well, they vote, but most of them have money too, right?
Yep, indeed. All right, so that's a little update on the PSAC strike. Now, we have some economic information for you as well. Sorry, I forgot to mention the thing. That's what the thing outside, the external pressure that might be making it so that there's nobody in the Liberal Party that is speaking about back to work legislation at the moment is Jagmeet Singh.
He was on the picket line yesterday.
Yes, he was on the picket line. He went. Now, this is great for the NDP in terms of, I mean, this is their calling card, right?
Yes.
So that they're there, they're taking advantage of this opportunity in the way that they should strategically. Again, because I'm about strategy here, but basically, Jagmeet Singh made it extremely clear, like crystal clear, that if the federal government is considering back to work legislation, well, they're just not down with that at all. They won't be voting for that. Now, it's, of course, the federal government, if they really did want to do that, well, they have the conservatives who have never met a back to work legislation that they were never eager to vote in ever. They've never met one.
Yeah.
So, but it's whether or not, because these terms were not in the supply and confidence agreement, that if ever there were a strike, that they would never invoke back to work legislation. But I do believe there's something in that deal about anti-scab legislation that the federal government is supposed to be passing as part of that agreement. Yes. So I think Mr. Singh could legitimately go and say, listen, I know we didn't discuss this particular thing because none of us foresaw this, but given that you did commit to anti-scab legislation, back to work legislation, it's similar ballpark here. So whether or not the supply and confidence agreement, and again, this may not have been said publicly, but it could have been said privately, right? We don't put all our cards on the table strategically. So I don't know if there's a message there that's been given that it could be the end of the supply and confidence agreement if they go that way. And maybe that's why the federal government seems like they're trying to be reasonable and still sitting at the table, and you have the prime minister basically expressing that the negotiations have been good and vigorous from both sides, and he's pretty confident that something will come along. Because that's a different tone. We don't usually get that tone from the government. Like we're still at the table and we're still hopeful, and we think that usually it's a couple of nice words with a little thing slipped in there somewhere, like nice word and then threat of back to work legislation and then nice word. Just sort of layered that way. Yes, the sandwich. A little
something
back to work legislation threatened between two slices of bread.
I've got another graphic here. We'll wait a few minutes before I show it to you. I meant to bring this up, and it slipped my ADHD brain. But it's about federal government debt. And we'll bring it up towards the end of the show. I got it here. It's something I thought I'd put up. I think it's important to post it because it's got some very pertinent information. And of course, when they tweeted this out, there was all kinds of weird responses to it. But one of them was from Gerald Butts, who says, "What's next? Is this too woke so they'll end math in schools?"
Oh man. Okay.
It's good. It's good.
Yeah.
It's good.
So Mr. Singh's on record as saying that they deserve respect. They do. So we're going to keep putting pressure on the government to deliver a respectful contract that understands the struggles these workers are going through. And you have Treasury Board Minister Mona Fortier suggesting on Wednesday that the government knows that there are cascading implications. She is quoted as saying, "I think it's important that we get to this wage offer that will not compromise what other jurisdictions are also working on and putting pressure on those jurisdictions and the private sector. So I think that we have the right path forward, and we will, of course, work very hard to get to it." And I'm sorry if you hear the sirens there.
That's yours. I thought it was mine. I wasn't sure. It's yours.
No, that's me. And I live on a dead-end street, so I don't know what's going on.
That can't be good. That can't be good.
I live at the end, pretty much at the end of a dead-end street.
Yeah. That can't be good.
Oh, man. Yeah, there's lots of action around here. And then, of course, you have like Tolliver going, "How will the prime minister fix the government he broke?" Shut up. I just can't stand that guy. But Singh, sorry. that wasn't Singh. Jennifer Howard, his chief of staff, has said, if no other party wants to vote with them, then I guess we're in an election. So I guess. Oh, if introducing the law becomes a confidence vote, well, the Liberals won't make it a confidence vote. So I mean, that's not high. I mean, okay, that's just public, but that's posing. Basically, if they introduce back to work legislation and make it a confidence motion, well, the government will never do that because they know they have the Conservatives on side. So that part here is a little bit of hot air. If no other party wants to vote with them, then I guess we're in an election. It's like the Conservatives will vote for them. That's guaranteed.
Oh, yeah.
So what's in the agreement commits to us supporting budgets in exchange for certain things, and on other matters of confidence commits us to be clear and forthright about what we would do, and we have fulfilled that on our end, is what Howard said. She continues on, if you're a party that claims to support workers, to believe that people who do the work deserve fairness and respect, which is a good wage and good benefits, then you have to support their ability to fight for those things. So there you go. There's a little pressure from the NDP, but still no clarity specifically on whether or not back to work legislation proposed would break the confidence and supply agreement. Right now, he's only saying about whether or not it's a confidence motion, which it will never be.
You set the fire, didn't you? You set the fire.
Who was that? I missed that.
Read the script on the screen.
Setting fires to be able to look at good-looking fire.
You set the fire, didn't you? You did it.
Ah, darn. Yes, I set the fire.
Did I do that?
No, I won't deny it. I wanted to see the fire. Okay, that song goes too fast. I can't make up the beats on the beat on the fly.
I know. Yeah, it's a difficult one.
All I can do is na 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 na.
La 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 la. Whenever I wake up.
Keep going. I want to hear.
Put on my makeup.
That's the line I wanted to hear you say.
I say a little prayer for you.
Oh, keep on remembering the camera's on the other side.
Yeah. So I was thinking of that scene from my best friend's wedding when they were in the seafood restaurant and they all started singing. I say a little prayer for you, and the guy sat down at the piano. It was a great moment in a silly movie.
Okay, let's get to some economic news. As we noted yesterday, I think, was it yesterday or the day before yesterday? The inflation rate took a huge drop.
Massive drop. Took a big dump. I couldn't help it. It was right there. I had to, knocked it out of the park. That would be what we call a grand slam home run.
You are terrible. Oh, how much time do we have, by the way?
Like 2 minutes.
Okay, then we won't get into that then. We'll just wrap up.
We'll deal with it tomorrow. I've got lots of time tomorrow because I'm working from home. Because
I just saw the time down there and I thought, don't you have to go?
Yeah, I do. I'll throw this. I'm going to put this on the screen real quick, and then we can wrap up. And this was issued from the Desjardins Group, and it's about government debt. Myth one. I'm going to read quickly. You can take a screenshot of this. Anybody wants it, I can send it to you in a DM on Twitter. But myth one, government debt is much higher in Canada than in other advanced economies. This is categorically untrue. Canada has the lowest net government debt in the G7 and is middle of the pack when it comes to gross government debt. Myth two, net government debt only looks good because of public pension plan assets. This isn't the case. The federal government continues to have one of the lowest net to GDP ratios in the G7, even in the absence of social security fronts. And I'll finish with myth three. Canadian governments are about in the same fiscal position as they were in the 80s and 90s. Not so much. Government debt to GDP and interest to revenue ratios are below where they were in the 1990s, and given the very different rate and growth outlooks, that doesn't look set to change. So there's a lot to unpack in this. Anybody wants this, send me a message, send me a DM on Twitter. I'll send you this clip. Happy to share it with you.
I'll
put it back up.
No, keep it. We'll read the other ones on
Tomorrow.
future shows when
Yeah.
we do that stuff.
Yeah, okay.
And you also have to remember that, as we reported on the show not too long ago, Canada also has one of the best debt servicing to GDP ratios.
That's right.
Like
Yes.
nearly 4% lower than the United States or the UK at the moment. So, yeah, don't worry. Like I said, there's lots of fear mongering. Lots of fear mongering. They want you to be afraid, so you bypass that reasoning center.
Well, hang on a sec here. I'm just looking at a comment from Miss Sadiqa. Why I needed your show to last until at least 8:30. I'm so tired now. Okay, you know what we can do? You know what? I have the magic of technology.
You do have magic.
I could launch this on my phone. I could walk into the office, and when I get into the office, I could go back online. So you'd be by yourself for a few minutes. You cool with that? You tell me. Do you want me to? Well, here's what I'm thinking. I can send you this graphic. You can go over it while I'm walking to work.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Yep, let's do that.
Give me a sec, and I'll set that up, and then I'll launch the thing. And so I'm going to do a couple of things here in the background. So if you want to keep rolling, give me a couple seconds while I get this done, and then I'll head out the door.
Actually, you know what? No. Okay. Well, yeah. Okay. Let's do it then.
What were you going to say?
I was going to say, I do have a chiro appointment at 9:15.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a little different.
Let's do it. Let's get through that part,
Okay.
and then we'll close it off when you get there.
Okay, cool. Give me a second while I give you this. I'll get you
There's
this
a happy
photo.
compromise.
There is a happy compromise.
Okay, happy compromise. Okay, just give me a little couple of seconds here to get organized, because I had closed a few things down.
Yeah, well, it's reasonable. I'll send you two things here, actually. I'm going to send you this because I think this is interesting. There's the first document I'm sending you, and this will give you a talking point, and I'm about to find the other document. Okay. And while I'm looking for the other document, I will put oh, no, that didn't work. Where did it go? So I had another thing I wanted to share, because it's there it is. Okay, there's the document. I'm just sending it to you now. And while I'm babbling here, I will share this screen. Now, this screen I'm about to share is from a gentleman I've been following on Twitter for a few years. And he's a comedian, and he always writes silly little things that always nails people, because they always think he's being serious. Mm-hmm. This is from 3-Year Letterman, and we refer to him as Coach. He's a comedy writer. You either love America and agree with this patriotic statement by Uncle Sam, or you don't. Well, first off, there's no in between. The world needs to thank America for single-handedly winning World War I and World War II. That's not Uncle Sam. That's a British commandant. So the replies to this are ridiculous for the people who immediately think, there's the U.S. education system for you once again. The first time I saw him post something this satirically absurd, my first thought was, wait a second, I'm like, let me just stroll his Twitter and find it. Yeah, that's comedy. He's being an absurdist. And he almost nailed me.
Too, every now and then I get caught too.
I get caught on occasion, and I start to type it out, and I go, let's just look. Let's just look first. And yeah, he's got me a couple of times, because I'll read it and I'm like, what the hell? Oh, it's 3-Year Letterman. Yeah, it's Coach. It's Coach. And here's I'll put it up. His let me post this, because if you read his bio, you realize, okay, none of this is real. None of this is real. So once you read his bio, you understand. Okay, he's just clowning. And here's his bio real quick. 3-Year Letterman. Whoops, let me scroll it a bit so you can read it. 3-Year Letterman, youth football coaching legend, diehard Georgia fan, 3-year high school football Letterman, show-stopping Little League umpire, region champion, 3-way tie.
The guy he's Al Bundy, the guy that never got over throwing 4 touchdown passes in the high school football game.
It's exactly what his character. Yeah. Oh yeah. He always writes stuff like, happy 420 to my good friend Coach Hugh Freeze, who blocked me, praying for you.
Hugh Freeze.
Okay, here's another one. Here's another one. See, this is the comedy, and this is people. It's absurdist. Here's a good one. The tallest man-made structure on Earth was literally built by America, the Statue of Liberty. No. I love this country. Do you? So, he's an absurdist, and he's good at it.
That's the comment we keep on making, right? All these patriots who claim to love this country and have never met it.
Yes.
Don't know the first thing
Yes.
about it.
Okay, I got to
I
roll.
love you. I don't know what color your eyes are, but I love you.
I loves you. I loves you. Okay, let me just log in on my phone here so that, oops, that's the wrong, I hit the wrong button. I'll log in on my phone, make sure I get the login, and let's see here, restream,
Now, did you
and
send the
enter the
thing
studio.
by link
I dropped
or
it into
Twitter?
Twitter DM, sorry,
Okay.
because I don't know if I can share it in the private chat here or not, so, oh shit, it's asking me to log in. What the, why is it asking me to log in? That's complicated. Restream home. Okay, there. That should do it. Because I can't remember the login. Ah, damn it.
All right.
Okay, I got to look it up. All right, I'm gonna shut my camera here, and you roll. I'll get logged in
All
on the
right.
way so that we can finish up when I get to the office, and then we'll go from there. All right.
All right.
So I'll see you in a few
Excellent.
minutes.
All right. Hey, kids. Now that we're alone, you're looking good. What you wearing? No. I'm kidding. It seems that we're causing a little trouble in some of the kids' households here. There, at Kit Sadeka demanding, yes, keep on going, keep on going, keep on going. We have Kit Saucy going, so demanding. And then, Mohan, Kit Mohan said, "Ooh, is she ever?" and gave a little wink. Which prompted Mr. Deckard to say, Mohan, you better behave. And Kid Lane goes, be careful, she knows where you live. Oh, and there's a that's better somewhere in there too. Now, kids. Now, kids. We do not want to cause any domestic problems. Oh my, Jillian, we want our own little drag show now, Douglas. No, that's probably not going to happen. You see, because all this is going on down here, that's kind of all over. So yeah, about the only drag I could do is Janet Jackson, like 1984 Circuit Control, when she wore like black from here to here, because it would take me a long time to shave, long time to shave. I'd shave my legs and then I'd shave my chest, and by the time I'd be done my chest, it'd be time to shave my legs again. And I ain't putting on 12 different pairs of pantyhose to cover the hair. I will sing for you. I will dance for you. But yeah, life's too short for all that upkeep. Who's really the grizzly bear now, Douglas? Oh, you kids. I love you. All right, let's let's try to get back to the things that Mrs. Furry Drex. Oh my God, you guys. Okay, okay. All right, let's get back to the myths. I love you, kids. You're really wonderful. Thank you. You bring lots of sunshine to my day. So we went the first three, right? Government debt is much higher in Canada than in other advanced economies. Net government debt only looks good because of public pension plan assets, and the Canadian governments are about in the same fiscal position as they were during the 1980s and 1990s, when we were basically joking that the loonie was the Canadian peso. And, well, right. And then we had Chrétien Martin, and everything sort of got a little better in terms of the state of our economics balance sheets, and then we've been going from there. So the next myth on it is that the government of Canada debt is on an unstable trajectory. Yeah, not currently, but there are risks, right? Both the Government of Canada and the Parliamentary Budget Officer have determined that the federal finances are sustainable, but this assumes everything goes according to plan and there's no substantial new spending. So there are risks to the downside. And recently, the International Monetary Fund, we just talked about them a few weeks ago, saying that their forecast was about 3.4% for global growth, and they just revised that downward to 2.8. And as we mentioned back then, the growth in the developed economies the first time was supposed to be 1.3. I don't know if that one got revised downward as well, with emerging markets growing at over 4% at the moment. So there are some risks we have to pay attention. Myth 5. If you include the provinces, government debt in Canada looks much worse. No, not really. Canadian provinces are more indebted than subnational jurisdictions elsewhere in the G7, but that partly reflects the unique role that provinces play in the Federation. The upside surprises in the 2023 budget season will end up improving the sustainability math for some of them. Myth 6. Canadian governments are running massive deficits. Nope. When looking at all levels of government together, Canada has among the smallest budget and structural deficits in the G7. At the federal level, cyclically adjusted budget deficits are near their historical averages. And the seventh myth, all of the new spending in the 2023 budget season was inflationary. Some, but certainly not all of it. All at the federal level, most of the new spending announced in Budget 2023 is not especially inflationary. However, the provincial affordability measures may be more so. So there you go. Those are the 7 myths, and now you are a little more informed. The sky is not falling. We are not 2 budgets away from becoming Venezuela. All the things that they keep on saying to like make you, just make you fear. Now, of course, debt servicing costs are going up because when the interest rate goes up 4% in 8 months, can't help it. But like we mentioned, our debt service to GDP ratio is very solid at the moment. Now, we've had inflation numbers, as we were mentioning. The annual inflation rate in Canada fell to 4.3% in March of 2023, which is the lowest since August 2021, in line with market expectations and dropping from 5.2% in the previous month, amid significant base year effects for energy costs. So that's a big drop. It seems that people were expecting it, but it has led Tiff Macklem, the governor of the Bank of Canada, I was going to say the CEO there for a second, the governor of the Bank of Canada, to actually state that he thinks that we may drop below the 3% mark before the end of this year. And that's a change in forecasting because up until this most recent report, it was being said that we would reach 3% this year, going below it, not before next year. Now it seems we might get below 3% this year. So inflation is decelerating at a pace that's actually faster. Kind of weird to have decelerating and accelerating in the same concept. But inflation is decelerating at accelerating rate, and a rate faster than had been predicted just a few months ago by the bank itself. So the bank is still holding off on more interest rates, waiting to see whether or not all they've done in the past few months has been enough, because they don't want the balance that they're trying to reach is to not raise them too much that they send us into a deep recession, a mild one at best, or what they're trying to reach is the I don't want to say mythical, but the very aspirational soft landing, which they always aim for and often overshoot. But they would rather overshoot than undershoot. Their fear by undershooting is that you never actually get the inflation down, and then it just sort of hovers at a higher level than need to be for too long. I think that the bias is towards taking quicker and stronger action at first, and then having to readjust on the other side if there's a bit of a recession, than not doing enough, and then struggling to trying to get the inflation rate down when it sort of locks itself in at a higher than hoped for rate by the bank. That would be my guess here on this. So inflation has been going down for a while now, because we had reached a peak of 8.1% last summer. But food inflation had been stubbornly high, above 10%. And sometimes I think reaching 11 at its peak. Well, that is starting to go down too. For the first time in a long time, food inflation is down below 10%. We're at 9.7%. Sorry, that was my alarm going off. We're at 9.7%, which is good. There are now, while lots of things are going up, there are certain things that have been going down. The cost of energy, for example, is going down. The cost of gasoline has been is down 17.6%, and natural gas is down 31.2%, which is probably helping a lot of people on all the other things that are going up. Furniture is down 4.4%. Passenger vehicles are down 1%. And as proof that the federal government's childcare plan is working, childcare and housekeeping is down 34.6% on the inflation. But again, you still have food over 9%, and pretty much all food categories are below 10%, except grains and cereals. Those are still stubbornly high, above 11% inflation. So yeah, that's a little tougher. Trevor Tombe who's an economist with the University of Calgary, had actually put up this thing that I can't show you right now. Hello, nice to see you, sir.
Well, it's cold out here, and my left earbud just died, and I don't hear out of this ear, so I don't know what you're saying.
Oh.
I'll see you in a minute.
Okay. He put up this thing that I can't show you right now because I don't have the ability to put assets up. That's Mr. Grizzly who has that from his end. But it's a graph that has all these squares or rectangles that are the size of things. So you can see what they look like in relation to another. So, for example, when we're talking about in food, other food and non-alcoholic beverages, they're still up 9.6%, but food purchased from restaurants is only up 5.9% now. So that's where things are going down fast. Meat is going down fast. It's at 7.7%. We were reporting that at over 13% at some point a few months ago. Dairy products and eggs, 7.2%. A lot of that has to do, of course, with bird flu. A lot of egg-laying hens had to be culled as a result. Vegetables and vegetable preparations only up 0.1%. Bakery and cereal products up 11.3%. Fruit preparations and nuts up 8.3%. So things are starting to happen on the food level. Clothing is up 1.3%, footwear 2.4%. So that's coming back down to the regular inflation areas. Anything around, let's say 2.5% or lower is pretty much normal inflation. So the things that have had the biggest drops, as we mentioned, are gasoline, natural gas, even electricity is down 0.2%. Communications are down 0.3%. So things like cell phones and your phone bills and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's a really interesting graph that we have here that it's annualized. And this is, these numbers that I'm giving you is not one full year, like the core inflation number that I was talking about. These are annualized 3-month average price changes in Canada. So this is since the beginning of the year, basically, since January 1st of this year. So a very useful graphic. I will here include a link in the private chat, actually. There you go. That should bring you to Trevor Tombe's Twitter feed where this graph appears. And then he has a whole bunch of other information on it too. I really recommend Trevor Tombe. And there's another person whose name I can't, Milligan, I believe his name is David Milligan, I believe it is, from UBC. If you want to know about stuff, economic stuff, they really present it with lots of graphs and visuals, and they're able to explain it to the average person in a way that they can understand without using too much jargon. They use some, of course, because you have to use some of it, but they're pretty good at bringing it down to the level that everybody can understand. So I highly recommend that. They're two good follows if you want to know what's going on in terms of the economy. I'm just going to do a double check here to make sure that his name is David. No, it is not David Milligan. Darn, I wish I could remember his name, but when I do find it, I will let you know, kids. But Trevor Tombe, for sure, he's a follow. He's definitely a follow. You can rely on that. So we have this going on, and we have certain reports that mortgage rates are starting to go down as well. So for some people, if you have a variable rate, if you didn't lock in to a fixed rate somewhere along the way. I didn't do that. My mortgage specialist had advised me not to because there was an assumption that rates would go up and that there might possibly be a recession or might overshoot or things would cool down and rates would have to adjust downwards, and you didn't want to lock in while things were going up too fast. And there's usually a premium as well to locking in. So I haven't seen it on my personal mortgage yet with regard to variable interest rates going down. But some of them have, and some of them have gone down as much as 0.6%. And it's probably expected that there might be a little more cooling on that front eventually. So fingers crossed, because the rising interest rate was a pretty big ding for most of us. We have a Tiff Macklem, who's the governor of the Bank of Canada, that in addition to making a statement about the rates, was saying something, for example, that the financial system has to adjust to higher interest rates as well. So that's part of the reason why he's taking the pause. I think I mentioned this already today, but whatever the Bank of Canada does takes about 2 full years to work its way through the system. And we're at about 1 year right now from when they started raising the interest rates. I believe the first time they did it was in March of 2022. So they have the luxury of a wait and see. Now, the United States has been raising them and seems to indicate that they might raise them some more, which could cause a little problem for us. Because if the spread in the interest rates between the United States and Canada gets too wide, that affects the dollar because people start investing more in the United States because they get more back, right, on the interest, and which can then lower the Canadian dollar, which can then act in the same way as inflation does in terms of lowering the purchasing price of our dollar for things that we need to import. So if the United States decides that they're not standing pat and they're continue rising, that may have to cause the Bank of Canada to raise interest rates, not so much because our economy needs it, but because you don't want a spread that's too big, particularly when you're two neighboring nations, right? So Tiff Macklem addressed the recent banking stress that was set off in the U.S. last month while speaking to reporters Friday from the sidelines of the International Monetary Fund meetings in Washington, D.C. He is on record as stating, recently, funding costs for U.S. banks have increased and concerns exist that conditions could deteriorate further. Consequently, some pullback in lending is expected, particularly at U.S. regional banks, which play an important role in lending to small businesses. So basically, it seems that banks are maybe going to restrict the pool of money that's available to be lent, which could also maybe keep the interest rates up a little bit by creating more demand for a smaller pool of money. Despite this, Macklem said he disagrees with the idea that price stability and financial stability are at odds with each other, and added that achieving both is critical. They reinforce each other, he said. Financial stability is a precondition for price stability, and price stability confidence in the value of money. That's foundational to a stable and well-functioning financial system. So there you go. So Macklem is aware that maybe his initial assessment wasn't entirely correct, because the Bank of Canada was more concerned about wage inflation at the beginning of this. If wages were going up, uh, more people have more money to spend, which keeps more money going into the economy, which is inflationary, which would do something. Now, I know the people listening can't hear me, but if you can imagine a graph that has a bottom line axis, and you've got inflation trying to come down to zero, it basically would hit a pot where it doesn't get to this line and continue going, it seems, parallel this way, slowly down, but it would just take longer and longer and longer for it to push it down and drag it out. Think of it, so if you think of it emotionally, for example, if you're like really, really angry and you don't let it out, it sort of like just festers and sort of just lasts longer because you didn't have that stress releasing thing to just like get it all out at once. This is a similar concept. They don't want it to drag on forever in that manner. And they're realizing that despite the fact that inflation, the core inflation has dropped from 8.1% to now 4.3, while jobs are still growing, while wages are still growing. So I think after about a year of this, the governor of the Bank of Canada sort of just like, scratch his head a little bit and go, okay, maybe it's not just wages. There's got to be something else. Maybe those other global pressures like the supply chains and the war and climate migration and all those other things that are not affected, that are not impacted by job growth or wage growth are playing a bigger role than those two things. So it seems that he hasn't been talking about that aspect of it so much. Like, we need to sort of like cool the job market in order to save the economy, which is good because that always concerned me. I didn't understand why it is that we had to like make the job market harder for people or pay people less in order. It just seemed to be, you can ask people to, you can do something to make it so that people aren't charging as much for things as well. You can work on the other side of the economy, right? So it seems that he might be getting the hint that there are other things going on as well that they need to pay some attention to. So this is good for us. This is good for us. It's good to have at least a governor of the Bank of Canada that doesn't say, okay, well, we decided this 2 years ago and we're just going to keep on going down this path because we haven't seen the results that we wanted to see yet. And, be damned. You're just going to have to live with the tough consequence. This governor seems to be a little more in tune and seems to want to balance those types of things out. So good. There's no point in pursuing a one-track mind type of thing. Now, he also says that the current forecast, as we mentioned, was for a soft landing. For the last 3 quarters of this year, he says, we expect growth to be small positive, so less than 1%, but above zero, Macklem told a parliamentary committee. But it's going to be a slightly positive growth, which I think most people would call a soft landing, and also means no official recession either. Right? Technically, recession is 2 consecutive quarters of negative economic growth, usually with declining employment. We had some months here and there of declining economic growth, but with employment rising. So, but we haven't had one single quarter yet of negative economic growth. So, recession so far is not on the horizon, of course. The world could throw us a couple of curveballs. So, but right now as things stand, things are pretty good. Ooh, you've got a really, really good camera there going on, Mr. Grizzly.
That's my phone.
Wow. That's almost better than your computer.
Well, I think I got a lot of natural light in here. I got to work on my. I'm always trying to work on the system at home, right? So maybe I'll put a GoFundMe together to get me a better camera. I don't know. What did I miss? I've been having a heck of a time trying to get connected here. It's just been a cluster Ford this morning.
I blame Trudeau.
Of course you do.
Yeah, strictly going through financial, a little bit of a drier stuff, giving some just economic balance of what the Bank of Canada seems to be balancing in different pressures and competing interest rates between nations and all that good stuff. But I think
cool.
I'm pretty much close to the end of that section. I think I've pretty much said everything I had.
So what you're saying is it's good timing on my part? Is that it to come in?
You, of course, you always arrive right on time, my dear friend.
Okay, I'm auditioning for the Zigzag guy.
Oh my word! Hold on. Oh, they didn't put him. Yep. I see him.
Oh wait. Is that I think the other side's my better side because you don't see how broken my nose is here.
because it's a little crooked from getting it broken. This is okay. Broken nose. Hey, how you doing, fella?
Ooh. Kit Saucy has a suggestion for you. OnlyFans and the Speedo. You will have a new setup quickly.
I suppose I could do that. I was joking with my colleagues yesterday. I said, I'm going to have to start an OnlyFans soon, the way things are going. And they go, oh, I said, OnlyFans has DJs on it now. They're like, oh, could you preface that? I'm like, really? I mean, you think I'd go the other? They're like, no, fair point. Wouldn't go the other way on that.
Except, what does the D in DJ stand for?
You got me. My mouth was open. You got me on that one. Didn't see that coming at all.
People from my persuasion could also consider themselves DJs.
How does this little mic sound anyway? This is just my wired headphone mic. It's okay.
Yeah, it's good. Yep.
Passable.
Yeah. Passable. Yeah, I'm definitely a DJ.
Not a disc jockey.
No.
Pull the S out. Pull the S out is what you're saying.
Oh, come on, Freakness. I'm sorry. That's terrible visual. I'm sorry, kids. I'm going for the triple crown.
Let's just give me 2 seconds here while I do something. Then I'll take you on a walk while I go and get a cup of coffee, because I need a cup of coffee.
All right.
Let me just. I have to. There's this thing I do with my colleagues every morning. They're like, I don't know. 8 months ago, I took a photo because I was like kind of groggy, and I took a photo with me drinking a coffee. And then they're like, oh, that was funny. You should do that again. Now it's a thing. It's like, Paul, you have to do it forever. You have to do it forever. I'm like, okay, I can do that. Yeah, why not? Sure. Yeah, let's do it. I'll just take a photo of me sipping a coffee every day and, roll with it. So I'm just about to take my morning coffee photo, even though there's nothing in my mug. Oh wait, I got to raise up the chair here because I'm really low. There we go.
Wait a minute. You're going to take a photo with empty cup and you're going to represent it as being full cup?
Yes, it's called acting. Oh, I had it in video mode. I forgot to take a snapshot. Hang on a second. There we go.
Here.
Like this.
I'm sorry if you're listening at home. I really can't describe what's going on for you.
Silly visuals. I still have to edit yesterday's show for the video replay version, because I'm sure everybody's aware that we do video replay, right? And we take the show from today and I edit a couple of things in or out, and we do a video replay. Well, I haven't gotten to it. I have to edit out that section at the end where I played the wrong thing twice. Sort of.
Yeah. Ooh. Oh, I'm seeing something in the kit. Somebody about auditioning for a musical or something of the sort. I missed what it was. I'm so sorry. But yeah, I love musicals. So yeah, I'm sending some good vibes if somebody's waiting for an audition result.
Cool.
Yeah. And we have, slut shaming needs to stop. Yeah, I would agree with that, particularly since I'm not so much one anymore, but I was in my day.
Whoopsie.
A little TMI there. So, okay, as we're going for a walk with Mr. Grizzly here, I'm pretty much have used everything I saved up for this particular show. So let's see if I've got something else in the...
Here's my view.
Ooh. There's a beautiful view. I like that. Does that ball on top of that building still move?
Yeah, it's a clock.
Yeah, it's a clock. Yeah.
It's hard to tell, but it represents the hours, goes from left to right.
Yeah. Okay, so since we have more stuff, and please, Kits, tell me what it is about this musical here. I missed it when it happened. So or if you would repeat for me, that would be great. The chair of the board of the Pierre Elliott Trudeau Foundation has sent a letter to the Auditor General asking her
Good morning.
to investigate.
How you doing?
of contentious donations
Not
linked
bad. Not bad.
to the Communist Party of the People's Republic of China by Canadian security officials. So it seems that it wasn't one check, which we thought originally was for 200,000, but now it's 140,000. It seems that it was
Good
two
morning.
checks that totaled
How's it going this morning?
140,000.
On a
Hold on,
call.
Mr. News, can you put yourself on mute?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'll just mute myself there. There we go. Oh. It's not working.
There you go. Perfect. Sorry about that, kids. So, okay, I'll do that again just in case. The chair of the board of the Pierre Elliott Trudeau Foundation has sent a letter to the Auditor General asking her to investigate a pair of contentious donations linked to the Communist Party of the People's Republic of China by Canadian security officials. So this, like I said, at first we had heard that it was $200,000. It seems that it's $140,000. We heard it was one check. It seems that it was two checks that came from two Chinese businessmen. The foundation has been able to resolve the problem with regards to who made the donation, because that was a thing for a while. They had tried to return the check but couldn't because names didn't match. But they were able to figure that out, and the money has indeed been returned. Now you have a PP calling for an investigation by the Canada Revenue Agency. Okay, it seems if the Auditor General was doing that, that would probably be included. So I'm not seeing why he is not okay with an investigation by the Auditor General. But it seems that the new people that are on the board have asked for that. They want to know everything that's kind of happened there, and just get a state of where things are from the Auditor General, because she is independent and very well respected, and the office is as well. Now, how I haven't heard anything about a response, and I don't know if the Auditor General does that type of thing where they take requests. Particularly from non-government entities, because the Trudeau Foundation is not a government entity. Yeah. Now, Kitlin Dam says, I'd be surprised if the foundation does have an internal audit function and knows everything is in order. I would guess that myself too, Kitlinda. Especially given the names of the people that are on the board, I think that would be very hard pressed to want to associate your name with that type of organization without knowing that things are financially very well taken care of and above board. Because that's the one thing about work, right? Is that the board members are financially liable. So if you're in an organization that's doing some really interesting things with the way and manner that they're accounting, that's probably an organization, the board of which you want to get off of pretty quickly. Yeah, I would agree with you there, Kitlinda. I would assume that that is the case, and that they're doing this because they know everything's in order, and just getting the Auditor General to say so as well. But maybe there are people who did come in and look at the books and said maybe things could be a little clearer in certain areas too. I'm not really exactly sure what the impetus is. I would have to read more on that. Let's see. What else did we have here for you? Oh, yes. Another important thing here is the Onion Lake Cree Nation out in Alberta and Saskatchewan has filed a lawsuit against the government of Saskatchewan for its Saskatchewan First or Saskatchewan Sovereignty Act, whatever it is that they're calling it. Now, if this sounds familiar to you, it should, because we reported earlier on previous episodes of the Onion Lake Cree Nation filing a suit against the government of Alberta for its Alberta Sovereignty Act. Now, you're thinking, okay, well, how can they sue two provincial governments? Well, that's because the territory of Treaty 6, which is the treaty that the Onion Lake Cree Nation, I'm not sure if you say belongs to or has signed on to, spans over both provinces, so that it covers the territory on both provinces. Now, it doesn't cover the provinces in their entirety. Treaty 6 doesn't. But when it comes to Alberta, for example, there actually isn't a single square inch of the province of Alberta that is not treaty territory at all. So
That's right. The whole province is.
yeah, the whole province is, and I'm trying to take a look to see if that's also the case for Saskatchewan. Just taking a look, I got a map. Yes, and it is the case for Saskatchewan as well. So there isn't an inch of the province actually. Wondering if you can. Anyway, I'll see if I can get a visual up later on, because Nate Pike from the Breakdown had a great map. I don't know, Mr. Grizzly, are you able to put up an asset?
I think so. Let's see here. Let's
Okay.
just got to scroll down. Give me a sec here. My camera's going to look funny. Did you post it?
Yeah, I just did right now.
Yeah, and that should give me a second here. It
Okay,
should
yeah,
work.
it's up.
There you
You
go.
did it. Yeah, there you go. So right here is Alberta. See?
Yeah,
Nothing
it's
of it.
all treaty. That's right.
And right here's Treaty 6. So you see the green that crosses the
Mhm.
border. Okay. So that's the Onion Lake Cree Nation.
So that whole Alberta Sovereignty Act is a joke.
No,
it's a joke.
Yeah, right. And it's a joke. And here's the reason why I was trying to, I knew this, but I didn't know how to explain it. And if you watch the breakdown, Nate Pike's most recent episode, he really explains it very well. But the thing is that the relationship Indigenous Canadians have in Canada for their treaties is with the Crown. It's not.
That's right.
Not with the provincial governments, with the Crown. And the treaties predate the existence of the provinces.
That's right.
Sometimes by a lot. So First Nations in these treaty areas can make deals with provincial governments, etc. But these provincial governments will always lose, and this is the reason for which we're always wondering. Okay, they have a pipeline, and they go to the Alberta court, and then the Alberta court says, of course, the federal government can do this because the Alberta court always makes, for some reason, I don't know how they pick the judges, but they always make the wrong decision because pretty much every decision they make then ends up going to the Supreme Court and being overturned. It happened with, anti-discrimination for gay people. It happened with the carbon tax, right? The Alberta court said, "Oh yeah, like this. Oh yeah, there we go. We got a split decision," and then went to the Supreme Court. It's like smacked right down.
No, you don't.
You don't. No, you don't. So I don't know who they've appointed to the bench of that high court in Alberta, but they seem to have an incredible ability to get things wrong. Even when the lower court that they overrule got it right the first time. Yeah. So basically, Indigenous people can basically just sit there and lay back and go, yeah, okay, you try that. See how far you get. Like this. And then they let them scream about that for about a year or two, and then they just file a little lawsuit, and then it gets tied up in the courts for about like 5 or 6 years, and then lots of lawyers make lots of money, and then they get told, no, Alberta, sorry, you can't do that because, well, you didn't consult on people that have a treaty agreement with the Crown that predates your
That's right. Well,
with
and
the federal government as a province existing. So you're always going to lose. They're always going to lose, which again brings me back to one of my central points of this entire show, not this episode, but this entire show. Is like, it's not, they don't care if they win. It's about the fundraising. They go to court. Oh, these damn Indigenous, those damn activist judges, we're going to fight them. We're going to fight them. They bring them all out. They have this big thing, and then they lose, like they did for the Senate, for example, the Triple E Senate. It's the same grift over and over and over again. Just pick something that people have low information on civics about, for example, treaty rights, how the Senate operates, how equalization works, who has the right to tax carbon.
Yeah.
Like this. These are things that most average people don't really know. Just get into a 5, 6, 7 year court battle, raise lots of money off it, tons of it, and then when the decision goes, oh, well. And then you just move on to the next one for the next 6 or 7 years. Nobody talks about the Triple E Senate anymore. It was all they spoke about for about 6, 7, 8 years. Nobody talks about it anymore because they got all the money they could out of that.
Yeah. Well, I was talking with a friend recently, and we're discussing, the monarchy and how we now have a king, which is weird because in our lifetime that has never been a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, look, I wanted the Queen off our money for a long time. I don't want Charles on bill. And friends of mine who are staunch monarchists, born in the UK, moved here as young people, actually feel the same way. They're 100% Canadian. They've lived here most of their lives, but they still have naturalized. Well, they still have British citizenship, British passports, and Canadian passports because they're allowed to do that. And they've said, I don't want him on our money either, because how long is he going to be there for realistically? 20 years at the most. At the most. Number one. Number two. As much as I'd like to, I'm like, get her off the money. Okay, that can happen. Don't put him on the money. Let's put Canadians on there. That can happen. Separating ourselves from the crown, we have to rewrite our constitution. It would be tied up in courts for a lifetime.
Such a mess.
Not to mention the fact that all the treaty rights, I mean, like, it's too much work to do it. And the payoff is there a payoff? Honestly, like, in all honesty, is there a payoff? I don't think there is. But the amount of work, the amount of time, the hundreds of millions of dollars that would be spent on this.
Yeah.
Again, we'd have to rewrite our constitution, not the charter, but our constitution, which is a separate document.
Right.
So as much as I would like to see us divest ourselves more of the monarchy, don't put him on the money, and I'm happy.
Yeah.
Because realistically, divesting ourselves of that it's not realistic.
It's not practical.
It's not. And I like being a part of the Commonwealth.
And all to only be able to say we're a republic.
And I don't give a shit about that. I really don't. But as we're members of the Commonwealth, I wish we could open up a sort of free trade amongst Commonwealth nations. Just a second. I got to go take care of something there in a sec. Free trade amongst Commonwealth nations, in the sense that if I want to go to the UK and live there for 8 months and work, I should be able to just do that. Right. I shouldn't have to create a whole bunch of visa paperwork or anything like that. And if we're part of the Commonwealth, why don't we share a currency? Like the euro? So what do we switch to the pound? I'm not suggesting that, but I'm saying, why don't we have a common currency amongst Commonwealth nations? I do realize that's an interesting suggestion and probably next to impossible to pull off, but they did pull off the euro.
Mm-hmm.
So who's to say it can't happen? And I think it would benefit Commonwealth nations. Canada, Canada, UK, Bermuda, New Zealand, Australia. We could have a trade agreement amongst Commonwealth nations. We could have a common currency amongst Commonwealth nations. We could be able to travel to each other's nations and not have to do a butt ton of paperwork. We could have like a Commonwealth passport, but still identify ourselves as our birth nation. Canadian, Commonwealth. These are pie in the sky ideas. Yeah. But I think they're kind of good ones.
I see a good
one. They're interesting.
I see a good one in the chat. I see a good one in the chat. I think Douglas should take over for the monarchy and make everything better. And shinier and sparklier too. Glitter for everybody.
Glitter.
Are you a good witch or a bad witch?
I'm a bad bitch. Witch. Bad bitch. Yeah.
I'm a bad. Neither. I'm a bad bitch.
Have you seen that? There's a meme going around of a little girl who's dressed up in dressed up as a witch. She goes, "What are you? I'm a bad bitch." You're what? I'm a bitch. I'm a bad bitch. She's little, so she's having trouble saying the word witch. It's really funny. She's like a toddler. It's adorable. If you can find it, it's really adorable. I'm a bad bitch. Ballerinas fart too. Ballerinas can fart.
Ballerinas fart too.
Another little toddler, and she's standing up about to do her ballet thing, and she cracks one. She's like, "Oops, I farted." Ballerinas can fart. Like, that's adorable. And good for you. Good for you, Miss Ballerina. Good for you. You're a human being, and you're not going to let the constraints of society rein you in at a young age. I salute you.
Well, yeah, I guess when you go down for that plie and then you pop up, I guess. Really,
Exactly.
yeah, I, as a former dancer, guilty. It's happened a couple of times, or on a lift.
That'll get you every time.
Just a tiny toot. All right. Do we have any? I don't have anything else on the top of my head, Mr. Grizzly. Unless you just want to chat.
I think we're good to go. I think we can. Wrap this one up, knock it out of the park. We wanted to go to 8:30 for Miss Sadika. We did indeed get that done. We got it done.
Wonderful.
But tell you what, before we wrap it up, I have to show you this. This is very important. You need to pay attention to this. This is a very important announcement. Okay, so just make sure you watch this.
Welcome to the place where everyone knows your name, where everyone's your friend, where good times are had by all. Sit back, relax, pour yourself a beverage and enjoy our company. I know we'll certainly enjoy yours. Welcome to the True North Eager Beaver Pubcast. Once a month, we gather at the Lieutenant's Pump at 361 Elgin Street in downtown Ottawa, Canada's capital city, bringing you joy and happiness all day long.
Indeed, joy and happiness all day long. I am up for
Very
some.
important.
And all day long, not like half.
Yeah,
the
starting.
day, not like a
No.
quarter of the day, all day.
So starting 1 o'clock launch time this weekend. Ordinarily we start at 2. We're going to be starting at 1 this weekend. Probably finishing around 5:30, maybe 5. We'll see how it goes. Of course, it depends on how fatigued I am and how the conversation goes. Conversation always goes good, but usually around hour 4 we start to peter out a little bit. And because I'm not on the sauce right now because I'm training, so no alcohol for me for the next 50. It was a 60-day thing, and it's been, I don't know, what has it been, 10, almost 12 days now. So, whatever that is, 48 days. 48 more days, no alcohol while I train. Speedo season.
Oh, okay.
Legitimately, that's what I'm training for, Speedo season.
Okay. Okay.
I got to have the Canada Day hot tub Speedo photo this year. I didn't do it last year. So this year I'll do it, and I'm going to look good.
Good. Yours truly has lost 17 pounds.
Oh, hell yeah. Good on you.
Yeah,
My buddy recently lost 55 pounds. He's been on he's consulted with a nutritionist. He's changed his diet. He will have 1 pint a week, literally 1 pint a week. And he switched to non-alcoholic beer, which is what I'm drinking right now. Because I don't really drink soda, right? I'm not a pop guy. I don't really do sugar. So yeah, he and I are drinking a lot of non-alcoholic beer. Not as much as the regular beer, but if you're out with the boys, you want to have the taste of beer because I like the taste of beer. So and there's some good non-alcoholic beers available right now. So
right.
There's that.
Okay. Yeah, no, me it was for tennis season because I normally start. My end of winter weight is usually about 168 pounds. I'm there now.
my weight is always the same. It's always give or take 5 pounds from 175 to 180. Sometimes I'll put on a little bit more if I'm really trying to bulk, but my weight always stays within 5 pounds, and it can change. It can fluctuate by 5 pounds in a day. But it's 175 to 185 is max, and 175 to 185 to 10 pounds, you don't notice it. It's largely water, or if I'm trying to bulk up, and I'll never I'll never be super big and bulky. It's just not. I'm not capable of it because my metabolic rate and genetic makeup won't allow for it. But I can be ripped as fuck.
Yeah. No, I just, with tennis season, you want to be fast around the court. You don't
Oh
want
yeah.
carrying an extra 20 pounds around.
Well, also you don't want that extra weight on your knees and ankles on the court, right? Because it can be detrimental.
As you're shifting back and forth very quickly, right? Moving, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, really, just and you know what? Like I said, no diet, just a little less junk food in the house because I have a sweet tooth. Better choices, slight portion control, and just following more of the Canada Food Guide. So having bigger part of my plate that's vegetables, grains versus meats and stuff because I'm pretty much a meatitarian and all that kind of stuff. And because I'm at the desk a lot writing, just getting up off the desk a couple of more times a day, moving around. And I've been throwing a little 30-minute dance parties in my living room.
That'll do it.
Yep,
well, I mean, one of the key things to losing weight.
Remix bangers, just dance my butt off.
One of the key things to losing weight is cutting sugar out of your diet, and I mean refined sugar, right? So if you eat a lot of bread, like I eat a lot of sandwiches because simple, easy, quick on the go, and I don't break for lunch at work, so I'll have a sandwich, but it's usually like a multigrain or a rye bread. Try and avoid white bread if you can. I know sometimes financially speaking, it's next to impossible to avoid white bread because that's the only thing you might be able to afford. I fully get that. I'm guilty of it too. But cutting out all sweets. I don't have a sweet tooth. I don't eat a lot of candy. I have a weakness for gummy bears, but I choose the sugar-free ones. And I'll have them once every couple of weeks. I'll buy a bag of the medium. Once every couple of weeks. So yeah, just avoid as much sugar as possible because sugar is death. It's death. It's one of the leading causes of cancer is too much sugar in your diet. They hid that from us years ago. They said the reason people are getting fat is because they're eating too much fat. And it was the Sugar Council in the 1960s that lobbied heavily against ever releasing that information. And that came out a couple of years ago. And doctors said, yeah, cut out sugar. Sugar is really bad for human beings. You're going to get sugar naturally in certain foods, right? In fruits,
right?
And certain vegetables like corn, for example, has high fructose. There's sugar in corn. Right. So naturally occurring sugars are good for your body. Refined sugars, sweets, candy, soda, bad. So if you drink soda, try and switch to diet. I know it doesn't taste the same. And it's not much better for you. Try and cut soda out. Wean yourself off of it by switching to diet and then eventually cut it out altogether. You will feel better. And look, everybody, I used to take a double, 2 cream, 2 sugar in my coffee.
Right.
Overnight, I switched to black. Was that difficult? Yeah, it was. Now I cannot drink coffee with sugar in it. It literally turns my stomach. So you can do it.
Wow.
It's difficult. And I'm not trying to pontificate here or tell people how to live, but it's doable. And if you need help, you need somebody to talk to about it. If you're having a rough time, DM me, send me a DM on the Twitter or send me an email to our email account. And I'll try and talk you through it, and join my ASMR on Monday nights. Cause I talk about everything health-wise, mostly mental health, but I'll talk about other things too. I'm not a guru. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a physiotherapist. I'm not a physical education specialist, but I talk about the things that work well for me, and maybe they could work well for you too.
Mr. Grizzly, I think before we go and wrap it up, I wanted to show you something because we were talking about good witches and bad witches.
Okay.
This is a friend of mine, Jesse Reynolds, an actor. He does radio here in Kingston. I've known him from Ottawa days. He's a bit of a cut up.
Okay.
Very, very fabulous. But he has a little scene from The Wizard of Oz.
Are you a good witch or a bad witch?
Hold on. I think we need a little more volume for that.
Yes, we do.
All right. So
let's go full screen on that too. Hit the full screen button.
Okey Dokey. There we go. And it's called Glinda Shady as Hell.
Okay.
Are you a good witch or a bad witch?
But I've already told you, I'm not a witch at all. Witches are old and ugly.
I am a witch. I'm Glinda, the witch of the north.
I've never heard of a beautiful witch before.
Only bad witches are ugly.
Then why did you ask if I was a bad witch?
Are you a good witch or a bad witch?
That's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. I like that. I like that. That was good. Never thought about that before. Yeah, it's like, oh, wait a minute.
Wait a minute. You just asked me if I was a bad witch.
That's a
Did you just say I
backhanded.
was ugly?
Yeah, exactly. I don't think I care for your tone, Miss Good Witch.
Glinda throwing shade.
That Glenda was a bitch.
Throwing shade and flipping spade wherever she go. There's a stand-up comedian that has like a 3-minute version of The Wizard of Oz,
Mm-hmm.
like the whole story, like this, like really, like just like says it super fast, and then it gets at the end. You could have gone home you could have gone home all along, gone home all. See,
Yeah, I
can't
know
say
what
it
you
fast.
mean.
Could have gone home. Yeah, you could have gone home all along, you little twit. All you needed to do was click your heel 3 times. It's like, there's no place like home. It's like, oh, Glinda, jeez, you little twit.
What a bitch. What a bitch.
Glinda, ugly's on the inside. Being skinny don't mean shit if you're ugly on the inside.
This is true.
Well, kids, that's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Podcast. We hope that you love listening to us because we love making this for you. Hey, Kid Pete, how are you, my friend? Lovely to see you.
Must be late there.
Yeah. Remember that sharing is caring and word of mouth is priceless, so please let your peeps know about us. And because democracy is something that you do, that thing we said about writing a letter, do that, but do that in support of public servants.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to adjust
That's
my
the-
camera here. There we go. There we
you go.
go.
If you really like this podcast, you can find us on the Crier Media Network, as well as all Beaver Grizzly friendly platforms. And if your platform is not, oh my God, we're going a little Blair Witch there, Mr. Grizzly.
I'm getting dizzy. No, really, I am.
Yes, you forgot to spot.
Yes, I
You
did.
forgot to spot. Yes, if you really like this podcast, you can find us on all Beaver Grizzly friendly platforms. And if your platform is not Beaver Grizzly friendly, why are you on it? Like, seriously. Seriously, stars and reviews are greatly appreciated. Please be generous. We know that you are, but, we like to say please. We love to hear from you, so please reach us, please again, on our Facebook page, True North Eager Beaver, our Twitter feed @TrueEager, or by email at truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com. And you can subscribe to us on our Podpage site, podpage.com/the True North Eager Beaver, lowercase letters with a hyphen between each one of those. And when we have something fresh off the bandwidth, well, it's going to come straight into your box. Okay, we can't do this. I hadn't made a box joke in a while. I've been very good.
Everybody likes a boxed lunch.
Kid Lane goes, awesome dance reference, Douglas. Yes, it's spotting. Why not also subscribe to our True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated? Because if you're listening, you don't get to see us. But if you do like to see us and all the silliness that we get up to and the weird faces I make and all that kind of stuff, well, then our True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated YouTube channel is the place to get all of that. Smash the buttons like Kitten Lane says, subscribe, and that helps us out big time. I think we've passed 230 now, Mr. Grizzly, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, 233, I think.
There we go.
Let me just get you on camera here. I got the big cam.
Ooh, there's a big can. We can't do this without your kind and generous support. So if you feel that we've done a particularly good show, if you're watching, you can scan the QR code on the top left. No QR code on the top left today.
I can't. Hang on, I might be able to do it. Give me a sec here. I think I can do it.
But
is it there?
There it is.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
It's above your head.
Yep. So it's above my head. today, or now it's above his head. And so you scan that with your camera, and that will bring you to our emergency coffee fund, which has clearly been restocked since Mr. Grizzly did have his this morning. And if you're listening, you let your fingers do the walking. You go to coffee, ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver. That's ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver. One word, lowercase letters. And that's where you can make your donation. Each donation is greatly, greatly, greatly appreciated. It helps make the show better. We invest it all back into the show. So thank you very much, Kits, for all that you do. And from the Beaver Lodge, this is your Eager Beaver saying, until next time, dear kids, it could be a tough world out there. So please be kind to and gentle with yourself. Take some time to smell the spring flowers if you have an opportunity. Mr. Grizzly, it's time for the words of wisdom.
Well, the daffodils are in bloom and the tulips have started to bloom here in Ottawa. A little early because the extremely hot weather we had on the weekend. So if you can, get out there, smell the flowers. It's good for the heart, mind, and soul.
Make like Ferdinand. Ferdinand the Bull.
That's who I thought you meant, but I was thinking Franz Ferdinand for a minute.
No, well, that's fun too.
Yeah, but he did.
But
he did. He started World War One.
The band.
The band. Yeah. The band.
Not the band. Yeah. Generational.
No, I know the band well.
Okay. Yeah. No, not. That.
Which one of us is the music guy here? You should know better.
I know. I'm so ashamed.
You should be.
All right. I bow to your superior knowledge.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Ever do that. Never do that. I am but a humble servant of the people.
Oh, that has a little bit of a Vita to it now.
I'm humble?
I serve the people.
If you say so.
You need to watch the scene from on the balcony of the Casa Rosada where she said, "I only live and I serve for the people."
I've seen it.
Like, yeah, that's not why you're doing it.
I've seen the Argentine version recently. There was an Argentine series about her life. Starts where she dies, and then goes. Well, the beginning of it starts how she dies, and then it's the efforts to recover her body. But they have flashback scenes throughout. Anyway, it's fascinating. It was on Netflix.
Oh, cool. I got to see it on Broadway a few years ago, which was really fun.
Well, that's the musical. This is not a musical.
Yeah, the musical. But they had the first actual Argentine woman playing Evita.
Oh, okay, cool.
Then, unfortunately, she sounded like Minnie Mouse on speed.
Evita, really Evita. Don't cry for me, Argentina.
Yeah, but Ricky Martin was in it, so that kind of helped.
Yeah, what was the line from American Pie? Jason Biggs' character. What's his name in the film again? I can't remember. Anyway, he says, what was his quotes in the yearbook when they did the first American reunion? The American Pie reunion team is quotes in the yearbook. I want to have this, and the sex life of Ricky Martin before Ricky came out.
Oops. That movie. That's like a time release joke.
Yeah, exactly.
Years later. All right, kids. Mr. Grizzly, please roll the credits because I have a chiropractic appointment.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community and forum. And The Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from fresh farm ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind.
That's a strange sound.
we got kids quoting Shakespeare here.
Okay, that's different.
And
Cool.
Brutus is an honorable man, so they are all honorable men. Come I to speak in Caesar's funeral. He was my friend, faithful and just to me. But Brutus he was ambitious, and Brutus is an honorable man. Honorable man. That's the audition I had to do for the for the Shakespeare in the Park company the other day last year.
By the pricking of my thumbs, something wicked this way comes.
And then something wicked this way goes. Bye-bye.